So, so welcome to the Check In, the show that we talk about all things mental health from a male's point of view. As you can see, my tag team partner with in critical conversations and Girl Chat Weekly is in the building. Plus, my brother from TWade to the Point is in the building as well. They are known as LHG and TWade respectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
And the track that you just heard, I is a track that I made. I call it "Punitive Damages."
it's nice,
There's
bro.
It
there's
really
a story
is.
behind that, but later for that.
That's nice.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Try to jump more to that, a little bit more to the track making, but
Doing a
not too
great job,
heavy.
sir. Doing a great job.
I I try. There's most definitely big shout out to Band Lab for you know having such a great app to make tracks with, and big shout out to all the people those producers who put those tracks on there for folks like me to use. So big
Yeah.
shout out to those guys. Um, but before we get started, man, first and foremost, like I said before, this is a show that we talk about mental health and all types of issues from a male's perspective. However, this is not just a male-centered show. As you can see, I also bring my sisters in here.
Hmm.
The last show we had Miss LSG, and I had also my good friend Shawan Jones in here. So and we had a very great conversation. So
Absolutely.
it
All
was
right.
oh my god, it was a great conversation. So we're gonna piggyback a little bit off of that, but we're gonna throw a new wrinkle into it. But before we get into that, man, first and foremost, look, if you guys missed Power Hour earlier today, you missed a good
Wee.
one. You missed a good
Wow.
one. So if you missed Power Hour, it's trust me, it's on YouTube and it's on YouTube. So go check it out. Y'all missed a real good one.
It was some good
I mean,
stuff. Check it out, y'all.
uh,
We gonna make some extra money, some income streams coming in.
yes,
Shout out to
ma'am.
our
Yes, ma'am.
COO Coco who graced us with her presence and dropped some amazing leads on some contract jobs that pay very good. We're gonna do part two next Monday. So if you've been looking for opportunities, she's sharing nuggets. So be in the place next Monday at 2:30.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And one of the things I always want to do as we go forth in these type of things, please tag a brother or a sister who you think could benefit from these conversations, because these conversations aren't just for the betterment of us as brothers, also for the betterment of our sisters as well. So that way they can understand us as men. They can better understand us as
Yeah.
men, because let's just put it out there. It's not to say that being a woman isn't difficult, but also being a man is just as difficult,
Mhm.
because there are
Mhm.
things that we go through that our sisters don't know about. There are things that our sisters go through that we don't know about. So instead of just kind of being adversarial towards each other, let's build towards making each other better. That's the other part of what we're doing here.
Build
Let's build.
families, y'all. We need to start working together and not be so adversarial. So all the neck rolling and pop locking and all of that, we need to put that to the side and have real conversation that's going to get to the root of some different matters and not be so in this corner weighing 200 pounds, in this corner weighing whatever. We're not doing that. Mm-mm. We're gonna be in
Nah,
the same corner and we're gonna talk. How about that?
exactly. Let's do that. Let's build, let's talk and build. So as you guys see, the tonight show is value and values.
Hmm.
This is part 4, and we're talking about the value of a father.
Mm,
There, and I'm gonna and we're actually gonna jump right into it. And I want to preface our conversation with this particular statement. First and foremost, well, I won't say first and foremost. The reason that I titled this is as such is that, and I'm gonna walk it back to my father. If you guys listen to part 3, I talked about my father, who was this larger than life character,
mhm.
and who was someone who I immensely respect.
Yes.
I love dearly. I honor him very much, so very much. But not only for being my father, but also being that person who was able to show me things that I didn't necessarily see as a child, but now see them as an adult.
Mm.
But also as someone who has always who's always been there, who's always been around for me, even though I never saw it and I never noticed it. He's always been there, whether it's in the background or whether it's in the forefront.
Mhm.
So I want to preface it with that, but also to the opposite of that.
Mm.
One of the things, well, for all the value and values that my father instilled upon me, they didn't. And I mentioned this in part three, that they didn't directly translate to me when it came from me to be a father. It didn't translate. It, a lot of things he taught me didn't overly translate, didn't immediately translate
Okay.
when it came my time to be a father. And that's the thing that I want to talk about today, the value of a father. But
Mhm.
in order for us to understand what the value of a father is, we have to kind of understand what the certain effects that uh certain things that fathers do. We
Mhm.
also need to know what certain things that fathers don't.
Mm.
So
Okay.
want to talk a little bit about that. And I'm going to use my own experience for this. Um it's gonna be it's gonna be a bit hard for me to talk about, but we're gonna talk about it. So I'll start with this. And you guys can piggyback at it. You guys can come piggyback on this at any point in time. This is not a one man show. As I told you guys, we got 3-man tag team up in here. So y'all can tag at any time. So I'll start with this. Um when when my oldest child was born, I was 19 years old.
Mhm.
Didn't know anything about being a father, didn't have an idea of what a father was. But
Mm.
here I am about to be one.
Yeah.
And here comes this kid and all his kicking and screaming glory. Now,
Mm.
one thing I will preface is this. I was not present when my oldest son was born. The reason for that being at the time I was in the military and I had duty, and that came first before anything. But the chief of the watch and they were nice enough to let me leave the next day to go be to go be with his mom and my son.
Okay.
Now, this is the first time I'm ever holding a anything that was so delicate and so tiny and so precious in life.
Mm.
I'm looking at this little guy and I'm thinking like this is this is my son, this is my seed.
Wow.
And one of the things that I had put in my mind at the time is that I was gonna do what I could to be there for him, irrespective of what me and his mother just went through.
Okay.
And regardless of whatever came what may. Now, unfortunately, and I do say unfortunately, that never came to pass. A year later, I separated out, went back to my home state of Georgia, and for a while, Mr. Kawanza Jamal Beatty was an afterthought.
Mm.
Unfortunately,
Mm.
moved to California, got a letter in the mail stating that he was being card transferred over to foster care, things of that nature. That's a story for another time. But
Wow.
now when my youngest daughter was born, now not my youngest, but my daughter was born, I was present.
Okay.
So slight improvement. I was present, but her mother had said something to me that really really hit home with me.
Mhm.
and it was something I can't tell you. I won't. I can't tell you what it. I can't tell you what it really was because I forgot about it. I won't say forgot, but I can paraphrase it.
Okay.
I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for being here to witness the birth of your daughter, but you're not needed here.
Wow.
I have my family.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, cool. And again, this is all. These are choices that I made. Did my best to be within in her life for the first 6 months, and then boom, gone, disappeared. She's gone. No idea where they were. No idea what happened to them. None of that. Yeah, the search for them was me trying to search for them. People knew where they were, but didn't want to tell me because at the time they knew I had a mean streak in me, and
Hmm.
they thought it was gonna be some craziness going down. So
Okay.
that with youngest child, the middle son, Shamar. Let's so the best way for me to put this one was I wasn't around when he was born, and I was up under the impression that his mom had got an abortion.
Wow.
Under the impression that his mom got an abortion, which I thought put me in the clear.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was wrong about that because DNA test said otherwise. Because data said otherwise. Oh no, brother, that's your kid. So
Wow.
and make an attempt to try to bond with him and everything of that nature. Then my youngest son comes into play, comes around. This is several years later. Youngest son comes into play. I'm present for him being around. Try to
Mm.
be and did my best to try to be in his life as much as I possibly could. Be it his mom, be it his mother lived together. So that was pretty much an automatic thing. So try to bond with him as much as I could. But then
Mm.
again, my choices put me in a situation to where I wasn't present in his life either.
Okay.
Fast forward several years later, still really no relationship with either one of my kids, save my daughter. And the relation, then I'm glad that I salvaged, at least tried to salvage the relationship with my oldest son, and we had some form of reconciliation before he passed. And then my middle son Shamar, we try to talk some things out, talk some things over. But outside of the one conversation we had um around 2014, 15, somewhere around there, we haven't had a conversation since.
Okay.
And
Mm.
with my Trey, my youngest son, now again, these are all my choices, right? There's conversation in there, and then there's not conversation there. So people could, yeah, I think everybody who's watching or listening, you guys can take that as you may.
May I ask a
But
question, brother?
yeah, yes, ma'am.
What choices are you at liberty to say? What choice? Because what I heard was someone telling you you're not needed here.
Yep.
What
Right.
I heard was an assumption of an abortion.
Yep.
Yep.
What choices did you make that you feel led to an estrangement? Because I'm not hearing that just yet. Are you comfortable at least saying, I want to kind of get into that if we may?
Yeah. The choices that I made of not wanting to be active in their lives,
Okay.
despite despite my daughter's mom saying that to me, I still made an effort to try to be active in her life, in my daughter's life, at least
Mm.
for the 6 months that I was able to be around her until they upped and left.
Okay.
The choice of me leaving um, Virginia, where my oldest son was at, to go back home after I separated out. That's a choice. The choice of you know taking someone at their word about having aborted a child.
Okay.
Also, the choice of you know not the choice of messing up a relationship with my son's mother on account of my selfishness and stupidity.
Okay.
And again, I mean, I can say this about I can say these things about myself because
Mm-hmm.
they're the choices that I made.
Okay.
Am I? I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of them. Was I ashamed of them before? Of course. I was embarrassed about that.
Okay.
But I think one of the things that I really want to kind of say because and this is something that I will readily admit, and I'm pretty sure a lot of brothers would not want to admit this, and
Mm-hmm.
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But and I'm not proud. And I'm not proud when I say this or I admit this. I am a father in absentia.
Okay.
Does that does that bother me? Yeah, of course it does.
Okay.
Am I hurt by it? Yeah, of course I am. Because I know I could have made better choices. I know I could have made better decisions. I
Mm-hmm.
know I could have thought better. But again, I look back I look back at that 19-year-old Fred
Mm-hmm.
holding a barely 2-hour old Kwanzaa beanie in my hands. In my hands, looking at this delicate child, this delicate life
Mm-hmm.
that me and his mom lovingly brought into this world.
Right.
And I remember the promise that I made to him
Mm-hmm.
to be there for him. And I remember breaking that promise when I left to go back home to come back to Georgia.
Okay.
I broke that promise.
Okay.
Now, again, this is a really hard thing for me to talk about, and it took a lot of process for me to even pull this to the forefront.
And
But
courage.
I say,
And
yeah,
courage.
Encourage. Yep.
And courage.
Yeah, because
To
that
even
stuff's not easy to talk about. I mean, nobody
no,
nobody really likes talking about where they may feel they messed up or
Mm-hmm.
they made mistakes. But we all make mistakes,
Yes.
and it takes a courageous person, as my sister said, to be able to confront, talk about, and put in the forefront. So
Mm-hmm.
that and the benefit is others may learn from that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Others may learn from your experiences. So that's a plus. Like she said, it takes courage
Yes.
to do that. And a lot of people
Yes.
can't do that. A lot of people cannot talk about their failures or their mistakes or their mishaps. They can't talk about it, you know? So
right,
I
Mm-hmm.
applaud you for that because that's a huge thing. That's a big step.
Me too.
And it makes
yeah,
it makes me
Yeah.
feel
It
good to
is.
even know that you're able to do that.
yeah. Takes a lot to. It takes a lot
And I
to.
just
Takes a
want to
lot to.
say, well,
Go
from
ahead, sis.
what you've said so far, I wonder, and this is just me, did the 19-year-old Fred have a clue or even understand what fatherhood would entail? Now you spoke very highly of your father,
Mm,
but having a father in your life present doesn't always necessarily mean that you can flip a switch
yep,
and turn on what they did for you for your own child.
exactly.
And I
You're right.
also see a lot of times when the relationship is on the rocks, when it fails, when it goes a wrong direction, a lot of times the young ladies sometimes pull a child away. When you said those
Yep.
words, "You're not needed here," my heart sank. I think my stomach hurt because,
Yeah,
and let me tell you why. Because I wanted my daughter's father in her life. I wanted him on behalf of the women who had children by a man who did not want to be there. To hear the words, "You're not needed here," hurts me. And I'm
yeah,
sorry you even had to hear that.
Yeah.
And I don't think another person has the right to say what the child doesn't need when the both of you brought the child here. So, regardless of what family has stood up for her, and thank God for family support, that child, every child, I believe, needs their dad. Pastor Rodney White, welcome, sir. He says, LHG, it takes boldness and courage, humility set in for you to talk about your mistakes, and God has already forgiven you anyway. I agree with that, Pastor Rodney. Thank you for bringing that into the forefront.
Mhm.
I wanted to know from you, Fred.
Mhm.
You evidently felt a gravitational pull to talk about this.
Yep.
What would you like to come out of this for you and for your living children?
Uh, well, understanding number one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a place that we could hopefully come to common ground and maybe sit down and have a conversation. Talk
Yes.
about talk about this, that, and the talk. I won't say this, that, and the third, but talk about my side of the story, and
Mm-hmm.
then allow them to gain at least from no, they already know their mother's side of the story.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably been banged over their head for ages, but they
It
don't know
was for
my side.
me. It was for me. In my
But they
case, with
don't
my dad. Yeah.
yeah,
Boom,
they
boom,
don't
boom.
know my side.
Dad. Mm.
And once they hear my side, they can analyze that, they can do whatever they will with it, but find truth in it. Find truth, not
Mm.
just in one my story, but find truth in both sides of the story because there's always three sides to the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's your version, it's his version, it's their version, and then there's a truth. And the truth is
Mm-hmm.
always going to be in the middle somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's a combination of both stories.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I want to grab out of this. But the other thing is I want us as men, especially black men, to know this, to black men to know this, because it's important for us to be present in our children's lives.
Yeah.
Took me four times to fail at being a father to realize this.
Mm.
Mm.
Four times to fail at being a father to realize this. And then to succeed as a stepfather where I failed as a father, that grinds my gears, that grinds my gears too. But it's that's a different type of um that's a different type of thing though. I mean, I won't say it's a different type of thing, but to fail at being a physical father to my kids, but then to kind of sort of succeed at being a stepfather,
Mhm.
I I don't see the balance. I don't see the balance in that. I really don't
But
see any balance in that.
if I may ask,
Mhm.
your stepchild came after your biological children, correct?
Yeah, this is the
So
person that I married.
basically, right. So basically, you can look at it as a stepping stone. You can look at it as a progression of positivity. You
Yeah.
went from where you initially started up to being what you need to be. Now, I'm not saying that should make you feel better about it per se.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
Right.
get where you're at, but at the same time, what I'm saying is
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing to know that you progressed. You were able to look at wherever mistakes were made or whatever, and you were able to flip those around and work on what was actually in front of you to do better with that. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. This, what we need to understand is this thing with children. They've tried to write, and I've been saying this lately a lot. They've tried to write books on children rearing and having children and what it's like to be a mother, what it's like to be a father, what it's like to be a child.
Mhm.
But there's no book to this.
Mm-mm.
There's because
Nope.
everybody's different and every situation is different. So there's no book
Right.
that's written. Children do not come with a manual.
No.
And being a parent does not come with a manual, and nobody hands you that manual. There are, like I said, there's books out there that have been written, but that's on opinions from somebody else. At the end of the day, your child is different from somebody else's child.
Mhm.
I mean,
Very true.
there is no manual written for this, none. And a lot of us, unfortunately, a lot of us fail at it or doing it properly. A lot
Mhm.
of us do. I was a product of a couple who didn't like each other when I came around.
Wow.
So
Ooh.
basically, when you talk about two parents at odds and me being totally in the middle, that's where I was. So I
Yeah.
didn't have my father for years on end. Like
Mm.
he made it his point to come around, but it was a twofold because when he did come around, I don't want to say he was useless, but
Okay.
when he came around, I got nothing. I got nothing out of it.
Okay. That's
My
real.
sister- there were
That's
those
real.
days where my sister and I, we sat around and we waited for him on a Sunday afternoon. He's
Mm.
supposed to be there at 12 and then he never shows
Ooh,
up.
that is
Me and
my
my sister are
story.
sitting on the doorstep waiting for,
Jesus,
we're dressed, we're washed, dressed.
come
My
on.
mother won't let us do anything because we're supposed to be clean.
Been there.
He never shows up.
Jesus.
Then there's those times where he did show up and he asked us what we wanted to do. He would take us to get food at either Friendly's or Burger King, maybe McDonald's. Then he would turn around. We might get a movie.
Okay.
And then he took us straight to my grandmother's house where he proceeded to either go lay down somewhere or he would disappear,
Yeah.
leave,
Story
and
too.
leave us with my grandmother who didn't ask for us. Or 9 times out of 10 wasn't even expecting to see us. And
Ooh.
it got ugly, to where, okay, when
Wow.
we get to see him, now at my young age, I'm glad to be able to just see him.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yes.
I'm quick as a child. I'm quick to forget about, okay, well, last month you didn't show up and left us on the doorstep.
Yes.
I'm not there. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's here. We're going to McDonald's. We're going, you know what I mean? And I love that stuff. But again, he didn't teach me what I needed to know. When it came to being a father, I didn't know what that was. I couldn't say what it was using him as a role model.
Mm.
As much as I loved him, I
Wow.
couldn't use it because this is what you did to me, dude. And
Mm.
then when he got me, now here's what really was the kicker for me. My mother and I tell people we've always had a love-hate relationship.
Okay.
And I don't mean hate in
Right.
the sense of hate, like,
Mhm.
no, not that type of hate.
Mhm.
It was more of, we never got along. We never saw eye to
Right.
eye. And I used to tell people that's the way we were from the womb. Like,
Mm.
I was born fighting with my mother. Like,
Ah.
so I was a runaway all the time, runaway. That's
Okay.
what I did. I would run away, run to my aunt's house, stay there for a few hours, and then my aunt would take me back. It was repetitive. The last time I ran away, I was in my neighbor's basement, just hanging out. And I happened to walk in my house. My mother was on the phone with my father. He shows up. He says, and hear my words. This is my father. He says, "Do you want to come live with me?" I haven't
Mm.
seen. I haven't had the pleasure of being with you like that. Sure, because me and my mother didn't get along, and I was young. I had to be 12, maybe. So I said yes. He said, "Okay, let's go." He packed up my stuff,
Mhm.
or my mother did. We left, and I kid you not, 10, 15 minutes later, I was at my grandmother's doorstep.
Oh.
The man took me to my grandmother's as soon as he left my mother's, took me there, dropped me off. No talk, no, let me explain what's going on,
Mm.
nothing. You're going to stay with your grandmother for a little while. And then
Damn.
left.
Oh man.
Now, understand, I'm her grandchild, so the generational distance is there. Like,
Yeah. Right.
she hasn't raised a kid in like forever. So
Right.
I'm like, oh my goodness. She had a room that was upstairs on the third floor. She allowed me to stay there. They cleaned it up. And that's what I had. When he did that, he was so happy. He said, "I'm going to give you an allowance." He came by one day. "I'm going to give you an allowance." That allowance was the money he was supposed to be giving my mother.
Wow.
He wasn't giving her to begin with.
Wow.
But he said, I'm going to give you $40 a week for your allowance.
Okay.
I was in junior high school. So I was like a little kingpin in junior high school. That's what I used his money. I
Yeah.
used his money and I got what I wanted because I was that nerdy kid. I was the book kid.
Okay.
So basically I had a couple of bullies, in my time. So my money bought me people. That's what that did. This is what I got from it. And it got to a point, it was stressful living with my grandmother because of generational distance.
Yes, that gap. Yeah.
And I loved her, but it was constant struggle. That's what my father gave me. Now, I did not get into a relationship with him
Mm-hmm.
until I had a family, till I had a daughter.
Wow.
And one day we started talking. He came by. He was like, I'm going to a drum corps competition. You want to go? My daughter was 5. I said, sure. We brought her along, and he was like, you sure you want to take her? She's young. I was like, my daughter's good. We're good. We go, we enjoy ourselves. From that day on, I had a relationship with him where we could talk. We never talked about the past. He didn't beat down on my mother about what she didn't do because she hated him. I mean, absolutely hated him. And she may have had her reasons, but she pushed that. Oops. She pushed that on us. She pushed that on us. So that hate, my mother told my sister years later, the reason why I struggled with you guys so much, with you and your brother so much, is because y'all look like your father.
Wow.
What?
That's what I got.
Wow.
That's what. So this thing does not come with a manual. It doesn't. It takes experience can be your teacher, and in most cases, it is your teacher. So when you struggle with your kids, Fred, I mean, I understand that. I do. And did you make choices that weren't favorable for you? I got you on that, possibly. Yep. But life was your teacher. I didn't have a father figure. I loved the man. I cried when he died. I fell to my knees as a grown man when he died. But I cried also knowing that I had developed a relationship with him.
Yes.
Before he died.
Wow.
Before he died. But it was like, it hurt because it's like, why couldn't I have had this the whole time? Why couldn't I have called you and we had a conversation? Why couldn't you invest? My father was a Rolling Stone. So like I met one of my brothers at his funeral.
Wow.
It's yeah. Like it's one of those things, and the family didn't know about him per se. So it's hard. This thing is not easy, and women tend, no disrespect to ladies out there, but there are situations where women create that divide and we don't get the opportunity to have that father figure in our lives because they're so full of hate or they're so disgruntled that it's like, I don't want to be bothered with that man. Therefore, their child cannot be connected to that man. And that's a bad thing to do. We're not left.
It's a thing to do.
Yeah. Now my mother had a whole lot to say about my father. My father did not speak on my mother. He didn't. Like when it came to us, he did not say, your mother this and your mother that. Well, my mother to this day, matter of fact, I talked to her just 3 days ago, and she mentioned him again. He's been gone for years. Their divorce was years and years ago. She had remarried.
Wow.
The man that she remarried had a whole nother family in a whole nother state.
Okay.
She married him. And he had a family in another state.
Wow.
But she's still focused on my father. You know what I mean? She's still focused on what their relationship was like. So yeah, I mean, I told you, Fred, I got a lot to say on this one. It's an ugly situation. And I did not have a father figure. I didn't have my own father. I did have an uncle that was meant and like a father. My aunt and uncle, who I always ran away from my mother from, I ran to them. They would, Sarah, we have him here. We'll keep him here for a year. We'll bring him back later. That's what they did. They were awesome. I had 2 cousins I loved hanging out with. They were close to me in age, and that was where I wanted to be because they had that family vibe that I didn't have. They had the family experience, the mother, the father, the love, the building of the home. They had all that, and I didn't have that. So I wanted that. So anytime I could be around them, I was happy.
Wow.
My father picked me up and be like, "What you want to do today? Can we go to Aunt Jean's house?" you know. And I think that would throw him and get him upset sometimes. But
Mhm.
that's where my solace was found, right there in their home, because
Mhm.
they had what I never experienced, never even came close to experiencing. So
Mm.
anybody that can hold it down, that has had a father, like you're saying, you respect your father, you love your father, you have admiration for your father.
Mhm.
For me, I can say I loved him, but he didn't teach me anything about being not only a father, he didn't teach me anything about being a man. He gave me a couple of lessons before he left.
Wow.
One being, if you have a job, no matter what that job is, do it to the best of your ability. I don't care if it's cleaning floors. You clean that floor so well that you can eat off it. I'll never forget when he said that. Made sense to me.
Mhm.
I felt great about that, but I only had a couple of those experiences with him. Other than that, everything I've learned, I had to do that on my own.
Wow.
So
I had to do
my
that on
thing,
my own. Just
so
don't
what
come
happens?
with a
So what happens with so you bring up an interesting point, and that's one of the points I want to bring up that I actually want to bring up right now, because a lot of the things that my father taught me, and one of those things was, well, I won't say one of those things. A lot of those things was he imparted knowledge,
Mhm.
discipline,
Okay.
temperament, um, respect for people,
Mhm.
being a respecter of persons, um, try to be being a person of your word. Now, again, so a lot of those things that he taught me didn't readily translate when I had my own kid, when I had my own children,
Okay.
because the the temperament wasn't there. The
Mhm.
knowledge was surely lacking.
Mhm.
There was no discipline, or I lacked discipline,
Mhm.
and there was a basic respect of persons, which that which took me a ways, took me a ways
Mhm.
because of the environment I was in. I had to respect these people because these people were, but number one, they were much older. Number two, these are like my superior enlisted officers and officers. So I
Mhm.
had to show them that deference and that reverence because of who they were, not not because of who they were, but because of their rank, what they were on their show, what they wore on their shoulder boards, what they had on a collar, what they had on their collar, or what they had on their sleeves.
Mhm.
So I had to show deference and respect to
Mhm.
that. So, like I said, for me, those things that were I was taught those things by my father, but they didn't translate over when it was time for me to have my own kids because and again, these are based upon my own choices because I wasn't able to instill the same things that my father instilled in me because number one, I, and I can say this I can say this and be very honest with myself with it because at the time, even when I had my oldest child, those things were were a far fetched thing for me to do to try to teach or try to instill or impart because as me being a 19-year-old, I'm still coming into my own identity and
Mhm.
I'm trying to walk my own path. And I was
Mhm.
thinking that being in the military was that path.
Mhm.
And as Kawanza got older, as Francesca got older, as Shamar and Montrell, they all got older. And as I got older, there was small little lessons that I picked up from talking with my father, from talking with my mother, from talking with my brothers, and from talking with good friends of mine. Um, the thing of it was is that the lessons that I would pick down, the things that people were putting down, I wasn't picking up, or I
Okay.
wasn't picking them up fast enough.
Mm.
And here and now the cycle of being a absentee father starts again with my daughter. Then it starts again with the middle child. Then it starts again with Shamar. Then it starts again. Then it starts lastly with my Trey. And I don't I can say for certain that I did not don't that I really don't like that version of me at this point because that version of me was selfish. That version of me was um didn't really care about anything or anybody. It
Mhm.
was just kind of just out here just doing whatever, and that game and I that put a very bad reputation about me to a lot of
Mhm.
people.
Okay.
Deadbeat dad, absentee father, you know, you're not around you you're not around for your kids.
Mhm.
And after a while, those words do more than just sting. They actually
Mhm.
hurt because now you have these kids out here that you're supposed to you're supposed to be a father to,
Mhm.
that you you made you didn't make these kids by yourself. You had somebody else was complicit in the act with you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now you leave this person out there by themselves to raise to raise these kids by themselves through whatever means they have to raise them. And and it also puts bad thought process in the child's head, especially when and again I'll say this about myself, especially when I refuse to defend myself. I refuse to defend
A couple
I refuse
questions, if you don't mind, Fred, because I want to address a few things that my brother TWade said too. I just have a
Yep.
question. You said that, and the whole premise of the show is you in your specific case, you have a dad, you're getting knowledge, you're getting respect, lessons, temperament, all these great things, but it did not translate. My question is, how often do you cultivate what you learn as a kid, and who checks in on that knowledge as you get closer to fatherhood? It's like going to school for 12 years, first grade, whatever, and you want me to remember what fractions at 48? So I'm wondering, that knowledge that you get as a young person in a home with their dad, how closely are you to that same person as life progresses? Are you having, okay, dad, here I am at 10, let's talk. Okay, dad, here we are at, I'm 15, I'm 20. Are we doing enough checking in? And it could be father figure. Not everybody has their biological dad, but
Right.
whoever it is that's giving a person, giving a young man that type of time, whether it's pastor, whether it's community people or uncles or whatever, how often is there a connection to cultivate that knowledge from stages? I'm wondering if we just think, okay, here it is. I'm young, I'm soaking all this in. It's gonna have to stay put until I become a dad and then pop out of the ground and blossom. Is
Mm,
that realistic though?
mm-mm,
No, it's
mm-mm,
not.
I think we don't
mm-mm,
have enough check-ins.
mm-mm.
No pun intended, the check-in, but there isn't dialogue from the adolescent point, teenage, young adult, middle age. This same village, okay, that it took to raise that child. If they're still living, they need to be standing up, or a few more people saying, I want to be able to make sure you're ready. I want to talk
Right.
about fatherhood. First of all, manhood before fatherhood. I want you to be comfortable in being who you are singularly
Mm-hmm.
before you lay down with someone. And this could go for mamas and daughters too.
I
Yep.
was about to ask. I was about to ask.
It ain't just a man and his son, honey. This is a mama and daughter thing. Am I teaching, training, cultivating at various stages? And this is the hard truth. When a woman has been what she sees as rejected, abandoned, whatever, by a man, a lot of times that hurt is so deep. I'm gonna go on a limb and say she don't care about what that child feel.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to know what a deadbeat he is and how he hurt me. He hurt me.
I would agree.
He hurt me. He left me. He's
I would
horrible.
agree.
But you have to separate, that's your man from that's his daddy.
Yep.
Long as he hasn't physically harmed that child, verbally abused him, he could have been the most rollingest of stones down the alleyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what if he still stood up in that child's life? Is his
Yep.
moral compass the best? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
But maybe the redemption may come through being a dad. and seeing, wow, I want to stand up in this child's life. A broken-hearted woman is an explosive device.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
A
To
woman
add to you,
scorned,
ooh, Lord.
a woman who feels that man did not affirm and validate her, if she is not a woman and she's still a girl, and she didn't have her dad to say, you're beautiful, you're this, you're that, and affirm her, and she thinks that if that man leaves her, she's nothing, and you caused him to leave. Some women would tell their kids
Mm-hmm.
that they
Mm-hmm.
were the reason why the man left. Let
Yep.
me tell you, this thing is layered here.
Yep.
We
It
have
is.
people who are hurt come together and have children.
Yeah.
Broken people have babies. And if we're not careful, that brokenness gets absorbed by the child. When you talked about TWade waiting, clothes on, he's coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why people can't go nowhere with me, because I am a stickler for time. Why? Because I watched that corner praying that every set of headlights was my dad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
Yep.
I did.
Oh, 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 here he is. Then a car go by.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a stickler for time, and don't stand me up. I'm totally triggered by that.
So
And
that must is that a thing? Not to interrupt you, sis, but is that would we go as far as to say that that's a trait for that type of situation? Because I'm the same way. I can't stand if you are on time, you're late. If
That's
you're
me.
early,
That's
you're on
me, brother.
time. I can't. I can't. It eats at my bone marrow. Be on
That's
time.
me. That's me. If I can do it and time my departures and arrivals, why can't you? Plus, it
Thank
gets deep to if you value me.
Exactly.
If you value me,
Exactly.
you'll show up. If you value me, you'll respect my time. And when a
Mhm.
parent doesn't seem to value a child, that child can take that into the relationships and feel as though when you don't show up for me, I can't take it. And
Exactly.
you don't realize where it comes from till you get into
Yes.
therapy, like me.
Yeah, like
And
me.
you
Exactly.
realize this is why people can't be
Like us.
I'm just saying. This stuff is real. And now, brother, let me tell you what ruffled my feathers. I'm just gonna be totally transparent. You said these words: successful step parent, unsuccessful dad. When a person is able to marry and they take on a new family and don't reach back, that's a hard pill. Does it happen?
It
Yes.
was.
Yes. And
It was.
I am still reconciling that, but in my situation, and this is just my opinion, I believe that my dad married into a situation where that woman did not really allow or want him to involve his only child. She wanted her child to be front and center. His father had died. I am my father's only biological child. And here they on trips and stuff. And daddy, I love you, but this thing, it ain't settling good. Still at 48 years old. We're gonna talk soon, no daddy. But here we are, you on trips and stuff, and I get keychains. Oh, yep, we went to this and we went to oh,
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
that'll tear you up. That'll
And
tear you
you didn't
apart.
take me
Really?
because okay. So yep, I had to deal with that. And I'm better now because God gave me a second chance to get to know my father. But I had my stepfather stepped in for dad and became dad. And that's a whole other talk right there
Yeah.
about step
I,
parents. But I,
I think
I
from
really appreciate you saying that though, because you felt you were all right in one arena, but not so well with your own. What
Mhm.
would you have done differently, brother, if we can go there?
probably bring my kid, try to do as much. Well, first of all, repair the relationship that I had that
Mhm.
I didn't have with. Well, it's I think with two of them I still don't have, but repair those relationships. Number one,
Okay.
and then with effort, with talking, well, with time, effort, and talk, maybe bring them into the fold, and then we can then have everybody try to coexist. The
Mhm.
one of the things that I came up against as far as like the resistance part of it was there was always this negative saying, well, that's why you're not a father to your own kids.
Ooh.
Well, how the hell can you say that when I'm being a step parent to yours?
Yeah.
That
Exactly.
you gonna tell me bad father to my own kids, but I'm being a step parent, but I'm being a pretty decent step parent to yours. And yeah,
Wow.
let you know what, and that's the thing that's what grinded my gears,
Wow.
because I'm decent over here, but I got like a C plus over here, but
Mhm.
I got a F plus over here.
Wow.
And that's why I said the balance wasn't sitting right with me. And
Now
I think
here
for
though,
me,
as women, and I'm just gonna throw this out here, and gentlemen, tell me how you think about this. I'm wondering, when you enter into a relationship where a man has children already coming into, and you have your own, do you feel that woman should have maybe said, let's talk about you talking to your kids?
That's awesome.
I just
That is an awesome
I
thought.
mean, am I overstepping my bounds here? Because I
nah,
feel like as a woman, and when a man comes into my life and I see that he has this type of turmoil, I'm like, okay, can you invite him over? How do you feel about do you want to have a one-on-one, or what can I do as your significant other to foster an environment of, I believe in you. Try. Maybe the woman could do a little bit too to help make you feel as though, instead of making these comments about your fathering to the other ones versus hers, that's not helping.
I
there
agree,
could there there could be
Ellen.
safe spaces for that.
Yeah.
There should be a safe space for that. But
Here's the problem with that, because I agree with you. I agree with both of y'all. Here's the problem with it is we don't have that scenario in play. We
Ah,
don't have safe places. That's
ah,
not a safe spot. You
okay.
don't, because you have the original, or the first, we should say,
Mhm,
who's like, I don't care. Don't be taking my kid over there. You have the
mhm.
other woman, the
See?
new one, number two, who's saying, well, mine are first. We're here. This is present. So no, I don't want none of that, especially if she knows there's already been issues with number one. Don't bring that drama this way.
Mhm.
No, she can keep her
Okay.
behind that way. There's a lot of, as you were saying, LHG, there are layers to all of this. And even in that area, there's mega layers to that, because every scenario is different. The children are different. But the women, and you can't put it all on women, but
Mhm,
the women, when we go and talk on women, it is a scenario that, as you said, should be in place, and it's not. It's not in place,
mhm.
and it's not easy to do. It's just not. I watched a podcast where, there was a girl. I ain't gonna call her. Sorry, I can't call you a woman. There's a girl who's sitting there telling the guys, "Well, look, I ain't gonna be bothered with no baby daddy. I
Ooh,
ain't doing that.
ooh.
Like, that ain't what I do." Okay, you don't have to, but why are you so negative about it? What's wrong with any? Because she went as far as to say she didn't feel anybody should get with somebody who has children elsewhere. Okay, so that may put you
Ooh.
having an issue in your own past. But one, when you say that type of thing, you're telling people that nobody deserves a second chance.
That's what she's saying in essence.
You're saying nobody. You're saying these kids should be fatherless because you
Yeah,
don't feel any man should get with a woman that's got children.
right.
So that means if their father's gone, they don't deserve the right to have a father. There's a whole lot she was saying, and it just got me
Yes.
so upset.
Mhm.
I had to leave it where it was. But that's the
Mm.
dynamics that we deal with now. And
Wow.
it's a sucky situation, but as ideal as it would be to
Mhm,
have that safe spot,
mhm.
as nice as it would be to have a woman or a man
Yeah.
say, you know what, how about we invite them over? How about we talk? Have you talked to your,
Yes.
That barely exists.
Wow.
That barely exists. That's not necessarily a thing right
Mhm.
now. And I'm not trying to be negative, but I don't see it being a thing,
Okay.
a regular thing for the majority anytime soon, because it
Mhm.
seems to be getting worse
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
this point. Like I said, it blew my mind to hear this woman say that she didn't feel that you should get with a woman if she has kids.
That's a lot.
Why?
Ooh.
Why?
My
Why? What is wrong with that? And that's a young woman. This is what I'm like. I can't with you. I can't. You
right.
don't even know. Apparently, something failed with you somewhere.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
missed something somewhere,
Mhm.
because it's not.
Mhm.
There's great joy in being, as I'm sure you could attest, Fred. There's
Yep.
great joy in being a stepfather.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
is, to having kids, to being able to do with kids, certain kids, do things with certain kids.
Mhm.
It's not always this burden down thing for people. Like
Mhm.
it's not. But she made it seem like it was the sin to top all sins. Like this was worse than the Ten Commandments, breaking the Ten Commandments.
Wow.
How bad she made this
Bruh.
look. She was so adamant and showing hatred about it. Is I just don't see it happening anytime soon. Not that it doesn't happen, and I don't want people thinking I'm saying it never happens. There
Mhm.
are some safe places out there. Some homes are safe. Some women are saying that. I'm
Mhm.
married to one who would be like, okay, go get your daughter. You know what I mean? I,
Right.
but you don't always have that. That ratio, it's probably 2 to 10, and
Wow.
it
Yeah.
sucks. It sucks. These kids
Mm.
are left out there, and then if they don't have a father figure, then where are they turning? Which
Wow.
is
To
a
the street.
whole nother discussion.
It
Where are
is.
they
To the street.
turning?
It
Where are
is.
they turning? What are they learning?
Wow.
Some of the ones that have fathers in their life, whether they be step or whether they be real, aren't
Yeah.
learning aren't learning those traits anyway.
Wow.
So now you add in the factor that they never had one, period, whether it be real or step. Where is the
Where's the
guidance
balance?
point?
Yeah.
Thank you? Where's the balance?
Yes.
There
Everything
isn't
else.
any.
Can
There
we
isn't
address
any.
Simone's comment, Fred?
Yeah, most definitely.
Simone says, I don't appreciate my father creating his own family without me, not even knowing until I met them. I can understand how you feel about that, Simone. Um, because it's like I wasn't even a thought until you already set this up. But I struggled with that, and I did know. And I still struggle with it only because I felt left out of a lot of things. I wasn't allowed to go beyond a certain room in my father's house. You sit in this one den and you in this one bathroom, and that's it. My stepmother at the time made it very clear that we were like strangers. I didn't appreciate that either, Simone. I hope that that doesn't travel with you through your relationships, and that you can process that, even though it might show up as like some hurt. But I know you mentioned something in the last part that there was some issues there as well, about you and relationships, how you were like not having relationships because you felt like you were slighted. I don't want you to ever not engage in a relationship because of what someone did or didn't do for you. You
Right.
deserve love. You deserve a happy life. Thank
And
God for healing, because trust me, I am still at 48.8 on a healing journey. She says, I can't remember. I think my mom might have told me she might have told you.
see,
She
she might have
might have.
told you,
And a
but
lot of situations, mothers, sometimes it's good to know some things. Some things you got to be careful with. What my mother always said to me was that he did not pay child support. Found out that he did. That he was cheap. That might have been true. Found just things that to me a child should not hear. You can deal
exactly.
with the adult part of it, the relationship
Mhm,
y'all had. Y'all
mhm.
deal with that as adults, but that is still my father. Short of
Right.
him hurting me any kind of way, he should have access to me. Now,
Mhm.
TWade, let me tell you this. When you
Ah,
talk about them grandmama drop-offs, I'm gonna go on a limb and say this, and I mean no disrespect to anybody's grandmother. But grandmothers, y'all may have to start saying, nope, take your baby. I know you love your grandchildren. I know you do. Big Mama, Medea, listen to me tonight. This is for you. I know you love these grandbabies. But if you're going to keep being the drop-off point when these fathers and mamas should be having real bonding time with their children.
Enabler.
I love Big Mama. I miss Big Mama. But I got Daddy pick me up, and don't let him have a new tenderoni. Pick up, drop off. Pick up, drop. I gotta go see so and so. Another one. Okay. So grandparents, you may have to just say, you know what? I love you. I love my grandbaby. But I also love both of you enough to want you two to have a bond. Now, if you both want to come visit and have a little dinner, a little fried chicken, a little basement pound cake, I got you. But as far as the grandmama being that drop off and go, that drive by and run, that catches up with that child. Trust and believe.
Trust and believe.
It's going to follow them into their relationships, into their adult life, because it makes it seem like they're not important. You'll go get them just to drop them off at a different address. What is that doing for their spirit?
And then not only that, but you sit there and you wait all day for them to come
back. So come on.
You have a total of maybe 45 minutes with them, but you're away from your own home and your other parent who's got you all the time. You're away from them for what, 5-6 hours?
Yes.
But 45 minutes of that time was spent with the parent that came to pick you up. Then they dropped you off and left you there. There were times where he literally left us at my grandmother's and left the house and went to go do whatever. Not to go work. Not, it wasn't, well, I got to get to work, so just watch them and then no. Because if that's the case, then you don't even ask for your kids at that point.
See?
You got to work on Monday. Don't say, I'm going to pick up the kids on Monday. You got to be to work at 5.
I got to work. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I also want to address like Sinette Day, who's in the chat. She said, I was a girl who didn't date men with kids. It's selfish, but I don't want to fight for his time. First, I want to say that it's personal preference. I'm not saying that every woman who's out there should want to be involved with a man that has kids or vice versa. I'm not saying that. It's personal preference. You do what you feel is right for you. But I'm saying, it shouldn't be the end all to be all, and there's not. It shouldn't be a solid it's wrong type of verdict, which the woman that I was watching was making it.
Right.
She was adamant about that's not the way it should be. That's not what should happen. We have kids out there that have no parent out there that they need, and they could be learning something from somebody. You're literally telling everybody out there, you're an idiot if you do it. You have made the biggest mistake of your life if you do it. I don't want to be bothered with it. It's stupid. It's idiotic. Who in their right mind would what that thought process is off? If it works for you to not be involved, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that either. But that's personal preference. So I can respect that view. That's fine. But don't come at the populace saying that should be everybody's view. And that's how that should be. And then Sinette said, a man who chooses me over her kids ain't right. Now, with that, I think we need to discuss that, because men tend to face that as well. We have a situation where you get with a woman, but the thing about it is the woman is saying, okay, well, these are my children. And it's okay. A lot of times the words "we are a package deal" gets thrown into the play. Okay, you want to throw that up? Okay, we are a package deal. Okay, but when it all comes down to it, if I'm helping you raise these children, if I'm helping you raise them,
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be a team because let's keep it real. If I decide to go scriptural here,
Come on
when
with
a
it,
man
brother.
joins a woman, they become one. So if they're one, if they working together, anything that affects me affects her and
Come
vice
on here
versa.
tonight. Come on. Come on.
See, this is my thing, and yeah, we're
That's
gonna
right,
talk.
Simone. That's right.
We we gotta be
That's
careful.
right, sister.
We gotta be careful how we frame things,
Yeah.
because we can put this in a nice little window, and it looks good from this angle, it looks good from that angle, it looks good from whatever angle you want to look at it. But and I'm talking about what T said about what this young lady was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We got to be careful how we frame stuff,
Right.
because the moment we put this thing in this frame,
Mm-hmm.
that we already know that's your thought process. Okay, cool. But you don't have to frame it, so where it's framed, put it in this big old frame so everybody can see it and say, okay, that's what that is.
Yeah,
Okay, that's fine. That's your thought process,
Right.
honestly
yeah,
speaking.
Right.
But
An average person only has dated a small fraction of the world population.
exactly.
So
And
because
that's
that
what I
is your
mean.
experience, maybe it's been a negative one. And a lot of women have this story that I even know. You meet a gentleman, he has so many children by so many women, and they're bickering, and the co-parenting isn't cohesive. It's dramatic. It's Barnum and Bailey Circus. It's the Ringling Brothers. It's Cirque du Soleil. It's so much going on, but every situation is different. And to me, there needs to be a conversation. If I'm getting to know you and I'm just kicking it with you, let me see how this is playing out in your life before I just say, you got kids. Oh, check, please.
yes. Thank you, thank you,
That ain't
thank
right.
you,
That ain't right.
thank you,
Come on.
thank you. Now let me ask. I gotta ask because again, going back to that question, I gotta ask because it's a thing for me. It's a thing. It's a topic.
Mm-hmm.
What do we do with that situation where like she said, spending more time with the kids? If you put the kids first, that's
Mm-hmm.
not, if you put the kids first, that's not right. That's not a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we stand with that? Like, what is the opinion of the board on this?
We
For
got to talk about that, because
yeah.
anytime you are in a relationship or you're kicking it or you're dating and you're coming into a life already in progress,
Hmm.
this
Yep.
man has children. I would never expect a person to shun their children, to push their kids to the side. And it could depend on how old these children are. Because
Yeah.
some people have grown children that are leeches, that are
Uh,
mad at their daddy because he's dating. Who that is, who she is. You don't like it, honey. You don't even know me. You don't know a thing about me. Back up, slow down, low down. So there is some conversation that needs to be had. If you got small kids and they're 3, 4, and 5, of course there's going to be way more interaction. You have joint custody. You got to find out what's going on and see if that's going to work for you. But like you said, TWade, I'm not going to turn my back on someone just because they have kids. I will investigate the dynamic of the kids, the dynamic of the parental situation, because I ain't trying. Let me tell you something. I'm 48. I don't want to fight you, baby mamas.
Hmm.
Let me tell you something. Don't overestimate or underestimate me being a big girl. I'll take this head rag off and whip your tail. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. I want this to be peace. Peace, honey. You
uh,
mad because he ain't with you. You don't like me because he ain't with you. You don't know me. I could be a wonderful stepmama to your kids.
they don't like
I
that
would I
because
would
then
treat
you're
them like
you're,
my
you're
own.
replacing them
See,
at
and I
that
don't
point.
want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
Hmm.
I want to be a part of their lives because I am dating or married to their father. And when I said I love him and I do to him whatever, I said, yep, stepmama duty, reporting, swear me in. I'm here. I'm here. Right hand up. I'm ready. But I don't want to be in a place where there is this contest or this tug of war, because a man's children, especially younger children, they may need him more than I do, or vice versa, as the days go by. If something's
Yep.
going on at the kid's school and they call them both parents, go ahead, baby. You want me to come too? I can roll. You want to roll? No, too much. Okay, okay, I'll stay home. But if you need me, I'll roll up. I mean, come on. This is a village. At this point, now I am another parent to these children. And what happens in their lives is a concern of mine because of who I'm with. So if you got a problem with me, ma'am, I'll tell you something.
Oh,
Oh,
If it's gonna get like that because I'm with him and you not, earrings.
yeah. See,
That's
and again, you got again, like Sanette again is saying she's like, some dudes would ignore their kids for a person. Okay, but now we can't have it both ways. It can't be okay. Well, I can't get with them because they're gonna ignore me and put their kids first, but then be upset because they're ignoring their kids to be with somebody. It's one or the other. We focus is it's hard to. I mean, people don't understand. And Fred, you mentioned it in the beginning when you said, you know, attention, like the you mentioned the paying attention to what I mean. We have to be able to do. You said there's a lot of stuff on our plate. There's a lot on our minds. There's a lot that men carry.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We do. Men carry a lot, and it gets ignored. And we have choices to make. And sometimes some of us men tend to feel like no matter what the choices we make, it's never the right one. It's never the right one. We can make the best opinion that we feel we could possibly make as a man, and it's wrong. But if we flipped it onto the other side of that coin, we're still wrong. Like, where do we win? As men, it does get hard. And I'm not crying woe is me for any of the men out there. I mean, plenty of times I've been on topics and we've talked about things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to get kicked out of the men's club for this, but this is what it is. I'll stand up for women all day. But my thing is this: men have a lot that we carry. And when we start to break down, men tend to be looked down on for breaking down. But we have a lot going on, and stuff just keeps getting piled onto them shoulders. Just keeps getting piled. And we're not allowed to be emotional creatures. We're not. And this is something that one of the podcasts I watched was talked about. Men aren't allowed to be sensitive. We're not. We have to be the strong ones. We hold the family together.
About that
I need you to be in lead of this family. I need you to be the head of the family. Oh, until I don't agree with what you're doing, then you're no longer the head of the family. You know, when I need it, I need it. I need you to be the head of the family. But while you're doing it, I need you to do it my way. Because if you don't do it my way, then you're not considered the head of the family. So now I got to take control. And now I'm going to beat you down for not being the head of the family. That's so dead wrong. And we face
so wrong, brother.
A lot. We face that a lot. It is what it is. Again, I love women all day long. I support women all day long. I'm one of the men out there that backs women at a whole lot of different angles. I'll tell you real quick. I'll put my Steve Harvey hat and tell you real quick where a man is going foul. But if the woman is foul, let's keep it real. If the man has too much on his plate, let's keep it real. Can we take some of that off the plate? Can we work as a team?
Come on.
Because when I get into a relationship, it's just a team effort. It's not a TWade effort. It's a us effort. I have a woman right now who I'm married to, I love and would die for. And we work as a team. We do. Do we have our differences? Yes. Do we talk about them? We do. We argue about some of our differences. That's human.
Yes, it is.
That's human because she wasn't raised where I was raised. She ain't know me when I was 5. So it is what it is. She didn't get raised in my house. But at the end of the day, I have a woman I thank and praise God for her because we can talk and we can work things out. We can do what needs to be done, figure some things out, and we don't always agree. So we tend to agree to disagree in some instances.
Yeah.
You know, and you tread lightly, and you try to consider the other person's feelings when them things come up. But men carry a whole lot on their shoulders.
Ooh, yes.
We are so
You know what?
that's a light topic to say men are the head of the house. If you have children involved, especially if children are not yours, you have a lot on your plate. They're
Yes.
yours. Once you're married, they are yours. They are
Yep.
yours. But you took on something that's not to be taken lightly. You took something on. When you got when you ended up having a stepchild, that
Mm-hmm.
child became yours. Period.
Yes.
The
Yes.
child became yours. So anything outside of that is what it is. And that's something else that's there for you to take care of. That's not something that gets minimized.
Mm.
You
No.
don't minimize that, but I feel
Absolutely.
that it gets minimized. I do. I
I
feel it
think
gets
so too.
minimized.
But
Let's
That's
pick
something.
up on some comments. All right, my sister is in the comments, and I want to go back and get a few of these good nuggets that she's dropping here and catch
Mm,
up. Let's see. Okay, so Simone says, first off, if I did have children, I would definitely put my kids before anyone. I understand that that can be
yep.
situational, but I do
Yep.
understand that perspective. Except God, I get that, Simone, as well.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Says who's with us. Welcome, Sinette. Some dudes would ignore their kids for a person. That's probably true as
mm-hmm.
well. Simone says to LHG, calm down. Get it together. Put your earrings back on and get yourself together. Yes. My sister said, I love when biological and step parents can come together and put the child first. All four adults. That's a healthy, cohesive, co-parenting situation. All right. And then we got Sinette says, I'm cool with your kids. I look at how he takes care of them. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's an indicator of that's a good indication of some things there. Sister
Yep.
says the hostility because the parent found someone else. When I tell you it's some insecure people that can't just let them go, it just didn't work. It just didn't work. You have a child together, you'll ever be connected in sorts by this child until they get grown to a point, but you're going to always co-parent. But because that parent has moved on, you mad, you stalking, you slashing tires, you busting windows out these cars. Stop it.
Lord.
Not gonna help. Nope, it's gonna get you a record, honey. It's gonna get you thrown in jail. It's gonna get you
Lord.
locked up. It don't. What's going?
My
He gonna
Lord.
come
My
back to you with a broken car. He gonna limp his car to your house. No tires, no windows. But I'm here, baby. Take me back. No, no,
no.
no.
Oh,
All right. Sister says sometimes a step parent can make it hard by being standoffish from the child's life. They don't want to be a part. It's a two-way street when it comes to step parenting. I'm doing a
Yep.
whole show
Correct.
on that coming up real soon. The step parent has to want to be a part, but then the stepchild, depending on what their life has been like, may be standoffish too. That parent in the middle has to foster an environment for everybody to be comfortable.
Yep.
well,
Right.
LHG. If here's another flip side to that coin.
Okay.
If like there are step parents, and she's right, there are step parents that can be standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes though, if it's a stepfather or as a step parent, period, if
Mm-hmm.
they're standoffish, a lot of times it could also be due to the fact
Mm-hmm.
that the biological parent in the mix
Mm-hmm.
is creating a dynamic
Mm-hmm.
where that step parent does not
Yes.
feel
They don't
like
feel
they can
they
do
can't
what
say nothing.
needs to be done.
Can't do nothing. And that biological parent, and I'm gonna put myself in this predicament and say, this is what happened to me. When I got married to my husband, my daughter was already a teenager. She had not had any dealings with her father growing up. So she's never experienced having a father. Then you
Right.
marry a man that doesn't have any biological children, has never been a father. So you got some situations here now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Child has never been fathered. Stepfather has never fathered. So there's a whole lot of learning opportunity in the
Yep.
mix. Now, mama, who has had some negative stuff happen to her, I'm talking about me,
Mm.
Comes in like, don't you say nothing about my child. That's my child. Leave her be. So I did not foster an environment in the
And can I
beginning.
say this though?
You sure can.
Boy.
Sis, because you know what it is? Like, you was in a hard situation because I don't know if you ever heard this growing up where they always tell you be careful about having another man around your child. So like
Mm-hmm.
you want to
Mm-hmm.
trust your man not to do
Yeah.
nothing, but you
Yeah.
still gotta think of your child's safety first. So you
Yes.
was in a rock and a hard place because you knew he was a good dude, but
Right.
you still had to listen to that little
Because of what
thing
I
in
went through.
your
Because of
ear,
what
like
I went
I gotta
through.
trust.
Yeah. At the hands of my very
Right.
first stepfather. I was like,
So
he's a good man. I
But
know he is. But I'm
hold on,
feeling
but
wait. Hold on, wait. So, but that's still like it. So that's like you're inviting him to a minefield, and you're not,
yes.
you're not offering to disarm the minds.
I get that. I had to learn,
That's
brother.
true though.
I'm
That's
telling you
true
the
though.
truth. I'm telling you my truth. When a woman has been traumatized, on one end, she believes this is a good, solid dude. But if she hasn't processed her own trauma enough to trust, it can be a bad
Right.
combination. You're right. It could be like he felt he had to walk on eggshells and did. When it came to my baby,
And
uh-uh.
it
Back
blows
up.
up
See,
in your
and
face.
there
How
has
can
to,
you make it a good relationship?
Mm-hmm. We had
Sorry.
to grow into it. We had to
No, I'm
grow.
saying how can it be a good relationship if it ain't
Mm-hmm.
if you ain't deal like you said you haven't dealt with your inner turmoil.
Correct.
but that's
Correct.
It
my thing
is.
is like,
I love you, Fred. Man, I gotta love you. I'm gonna love you
I mean, that's
forever.
good
'Cause
talk.
that was a good one. That was awesome because it is that, and although he said it, and you know, it was funny and it was real though.
Mm-hmm.
It
It
is
was real.
literally what it feels like. It's an emotional
Mm-hmm.
minefield,
Mm-hmm.
and if you have to walk through that and you're constantly getting blown up,
Mm-hmm.
you stand still.
Yeah.
At that point, you stand still because
Mhm.
you're not trying to get blown up like that again.
Right.
Now,
I get that.
now with you, LHG, like with
Mhm.
your situation, I totally get that. If that was a situation and that's why there was a minefield in your situation, I
Mhm.
got that for that purpose. Some women do it because they're putting their children first in all things. And no matter what happens, these are my
Ooh.
children, period. These are my children, period. Oh, I want you to father them, but these are my children, period. Like, I will do what needs to be
Right.
done to protect my kids. I got that all day too. But again, where's the teamwork? Where's the okay? Let's do this. And some
Right.
women have been hurt so bad that the man that does come in, it is a minefield, period. Because it's like, okay, I got that you've been hurt, but at the same time, I'm trying to do a job that you're not
Right.
letting me do. And then you
Right.
want
but
to
it,
get upset if I'm not
but
doing it.
Mhm.
Like you
Right.
it
want
goes
me to
back,
walk through the
it also,
minefields.
but
You want
it
me.
also goes to the opposite way too.
Yeah.
It goes the opposite way with a single father too. When a woman comes in, it is a
Mm-hmm.
and marries that single father, they become a stepmom to that child. It's the
Mhm.
it's the same. It can be the same thing that
Mm-hmm.
this man sets up this minefield and doesn't disarm the minefield or have these turrets. That's not on standby. And that woman
True.
or that stepmom, that woman that comes in to try to be a mother to this child, and he has it's the same thing because when you don't, the way I look at it is like this. If you're gonna have that person walk in a minefield, at
Mm-hmm.
least disarm some of the minds. At least what I say, what I mean by that, at least create a pathway, a safe pathway to where that step parent, whether it's male or female,
Mm-hmm.
can be able to be a parent to that child without it having to be, you know, if I step here, am I gonna get blown up? If I step here, am I gonna get blown up? Or whatever. You have to when it comes to being like when it comes to like it goes for both ways. It goes both for single fathers and single mothers who bring in
Mhm.
who who have a husband who bring in a step parent, stepmom or stepfather. There has to be a pathway created to foster, you know, safe parenting. But
Yes,
all,
for
but it
both
also has to be
parties,
for
for
both parties.
everybody. Because in this case, when a person who comes in that has never fathered and has never had a father, two things: has never fathered and has never had a father. Okay,
Right.
and you come in drill sergeant style. That creates a
See.
minefield for the child.
Yep. Hostile
So now
environment.
both people are walking in minefields of their own.
Yep. And we gotta be careful about that.
We do. And that's where this comment, the conversation. Yes, sister, before you commit, because a single parent has been doing things that way for years, bringing somebody in, they may do things differently or don't have any kids at all. It could be a cause of contention. It has to be a lot of conversation, a lot of transparency, a lot of prayer. Bring back the dining room table and have some straight up, put your phone down and let's talk about your day, about what's going on. Everybody going to their separate rooms is not going to create a bond.
Nope.
We got
But
to
at the same
find
time,
a way to create a familial bond. My
yep.
first 6 years of life with my second stepfather, who I love dearly, was horrible. Not because he was horrible, but because I didn't trust him after the first stepfather did so much dirt to me.
Yeah. We gotta
I
create
need
those safe
people.
corridors. We
Right.
gotta create those safe corridors. Because if we don't
Yes.
create those safe corridors, like you said earlier, when LG, when you married a man that was a good dude, but never had the experience of a father, but also never had the experience of being a father,
And
which
that's a lot. Both of
that's a
those
lot to take on.
dynamics.
That's
So
a lot to take on.
where was his example? Who showed him? Who talked to him? Who nurtured him? If where are you drawing from?
Yep. And you can't draw from your own experiences if you don't have them.
There you go.
Ooh,
You can't you
please.
can't draw from if you don't have them, you can't draw from them.
Ooh,
And the thing of it is that when you put in that situation
that was a good
to be a
example, sister. I agree.
when you put yourself in that situation, you're literally taking charge of. Well, you know what? I'll put this in a much more wider swath.
Okay.
When you're a parent, whether you're a biological or a step parent,
Mm-hmm.
you're taking a large responsibility over a child's life. This is a huge, and
Mm-hmm.
when I say huge, I mean huge responsibility. You have responsibility to this child if you're a biological parent from when they're born till they pass, or until you pass first.
Mm-hmm.
As a step
Mm-hmm.
parent, you have a responsibility for this child from the moment you enter this child's life until
Yeah.
either you pass or they pass. So
Mm.
there's a responsibility on both ends. For me, it does not matter. It does not matter the time of entry.
Mm.
It doesn't matter the time of entry. If you're a step parent, you come into this child's life at 10 years old, and you marry this mother or this father or this single mother or single father, your responsibility to that child until you are responsible for that child until that child passes or you pass. Same thing goes with a biological parent.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that makes it slightly different is that you help make the bio as a biological, you help make the child.
Mm-hmm.
As a step parent, you're coming in at a specific time. And like I
Mm-hmm.
said, neither one of them, there's no difference in either one.
Mm-hmm.
There's still responsibility to refute or deny the responsibility is ludicrous. And it doesn't and again, I can speak from my own personal situation. To have biological kids that I did not even take care of, and to come to have stepchildren that I helped take care of.
Mm.
There was no balance there.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was no balance because I'm feeding into and speaking into these stepkids' lives. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this from a point of anger. I'm not
Mm.
saying it from a point of anger because trust and believe. I'm very proud of being. I'm very happy, proud of being a stepfather. I'm very proud of my stepkids' accomplishments. So
Mhm.
it's not coming from a point of anger. It
Okay.
is, but for me, it's coming from a point of lack of balance, lack of, you know, if I'm pouring into and feeding into these kids, but I'm not pouring into and feeding into my own children, there's no balance there. And which led to my biological children being either maladjusted or not really wanting to talk to me, or better yet, just don't want nothing to do with me at all, which is the which is a which is a possibility of any man, any father who decides they don't want to be around their kids and become an absentee father. I'm telling y'all, brothers, right now, that is the fate that will become of you if you decide to be absentee father. Because in y'all man's that said something that they had meaning, but I'm also gonna flip. I'm also gonna flip that.
Okay.
She said that mothers destroy sons. That's
Mm.
true. That's true.
Ooh, that's heavy.
That's true. But I'm also gonna say
Ooh.
that fathers destroy sons too.
Wow.
Fathers destroy children too. And they
Ooh.
and they do it. They do it in a much more. Mothers do it in a subtle way. They say things that that
Mm.
that did that did that dig deep into a child's psyche that hurt them. So it's more of
Ooh.
a subtle emotional thing.
Mm.
Fathers do it more overtly
Yep.
by not showing up, by not caring, by not being involved, by not being active. One of the things I heard in a podcast is that black fathers are, though we're the most active, we also end up being the least present.
Mm.
And I trying to wrap my head around that, and I was like, oh, I get it. Because studies have shown that black fathers are the most active fathers in their children's lives. However, there's an opposite to that. We can be the most active, but also be the least present. So as much as we tout
Mm.
about being active, because there's a difference between active and present.
Mm.
You can be active by going to football games and all this other stuff, but are you present in that child's life? And what I mean by that, are you in that child's life enough to bring value to that child? Are you
Yeah.
imparting value to that child?
Yeah.
That was my shortcoming. That was my downfall. That was the thing that really just kind of brought me to a point to where, like, geez, I'm really that bad of a person, that bad of a dad, father, that I didn't bring value to none of my biological kids. Yet I brought value to kids that weren't mine. And again, this is
No.
not. I'm not saying it from a point of negativity. I'm saying it from a point of balance.
Mm.
For
Mhm.
me, there. Now when I think about it,
Well, you all make mistakes. I'm human.
true,
Yes.
but there still has to be balance in that though. There had to be
We
some
all
form of
make
balance. I mean,
mistakes. No one's perfect.
I know, but I mean, it's something that I think about a lot, and it affects me a lot. I thank God for growing to be a better person. I also thank God for at least Him giving me the opportunity to at least have some form of redemption with my daughter by going to watch her get married to her sweetheart. And for me, it was important for me to be there. I didn't care if I didn't walk her down the aisle. I really didn't care about that. My
Mm.
point is that I want to be there, be present, and celebrate her moment,
Yeah.
and literally celebrate her moment. Because if and the funny thing about that is that me and her mother, well, we did it. It was a separate thing. Me and her mom talked during the reception, and we had a very productive and great conversation. A really, really great conversation. And she admitted to some of the things that she did, some of her wrongdoings, and why she did what she did. And when it came down to it, I understood. I understood why she did it. So there was no ill feelings with that with me. I understood that she had to do what she had to do to protect her child
Right.
because her father, because her. because her father was a relative. I won't say a relative unknown, but was a relatively unknown and unstable person at the time. And to bring a child around an unstable parent, that presents problems, that presents issues, that presents challenges. So I understood that. So me and her had a great conversation, a
Mm.
wonderful conversation. It was very enlightening. It was also emotional for me because I never knew the motives behind that. But when I knew the motives behind it, there was automatic forgiveness there. And
Mm.
then I told we had a nice conversation. Then me and my daughter had spoken. We had a conversation, and
So
again,
communicate.
a great conversation that we had. We talked about a lot of stuff. And the one thing that she told me that I'll never forget, and it still holds weight for me this day. She said, "Look, what happened in the past is the past. What is
Mm.
more important is where we build from where we build or build from now." Girl, you ain't said nothing but a word. I know your Instagram. I know your Instagram. I know your Instagram. We can chat over Instagram or whatever. And my thing is, when I see pictures, when I see her do pictures on Instagram, I like them and I love them. But I also don't. I every once in a while I ask her how her and her husband doing. Then she answers back, and that's cool. My thing is that I know that she's happy, so
Mhm.
I'm not gonna I'm not gonna force feed. I'm not gonna force myself into her life like that because she's married, she's got a husband, they're
Wow.
rather than doing whatever. So I'm happy with where she is, but I'm also happy about the conversation that we had because that was her way of saying, "Hey dad, hey pop, I forgive you. It's cool. It's not necessarily water under the bridge, but it's cool. We can start from this point and move forward." And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Say no, say less. Let's go." It's not like that. It's not like that with my other two children. It's not
Mhm.
I don't, and when I say it's not like that, it's just not like that. And as much as I would like for it to be that way, it's I'm gonna probably say that it probably won't be it won't be that way unless they're the other party comes to the table and talk. Then I'm talking about my talking about Shamar because he's not on Facebook like that, and I don't have a telephone number to reach out to him like that either.
Okay.
But I know he has his own thing, and I don't want to interfere in that. I do reach out though. I do try to reach out and say, "Hey, how you doing?" If he doesn't respond, I kind of understand he's not on Facebook like that.
Mhm.
Now, with my youngest son, he just had a kid. He just had a child,
Wow.
and
Grandpappy.
and see and see
Wow.
this is where the rubber meets the road with me.
Okay.
If my youngest son wasn't taught the values of being first of all of being a man, the value and values of being a man. Now, this is not to say that his mother didn't teach him any of that because you know his mother is a great person. Um, so I'm not gonna speak. I won't speak ill of any of my children's mother, but I will say that if he wasn't taught that by another man, my fear is that my fear is that he'll walk down the same path. He'll walk down the same path that I walk down, that I
Mm.
currently walk down, and I
Mhm.
don't want that for him.
Okay.
I don't want that for Shamar either. I didn't want that for Kawanza, even though we were able to at least partly mend our relationship
Mhm.
before he passed.
Mhm.
And one of the things I loved our conversation because he was so looking forward to being a father,
Mhm.
and he said he had so many questions that he wanted to ask me. I'm like, that's cool. Let's, when she's born, we can talk, ask away. We'll chat.
Mhm.
But again, the path that I don't want my train of walk to father walk down the same path that I walk down
Mm.
because first of all, that is I won't say a dangerous path, but it's a path that's fraught with danger. That's fraught
Mhm.
with a lot of there's gonna be a lot of heartache and heartbreak in that. And there's gonna be times where you just like you feel like you don't deserve to be, you deserve to help bring these kids into this world, but you can't. There's no time for regret now. They're already here,
Mm-hmm.
and they're already growing, and they're already grown. And I don't want that for any of my surviving children. I mean, I don't want that for my daughter. I don't want that. I don't want her to have a kid, have a child one day, and then all of a sudden, her and her husband, decided not to be together,
Right.
and now she's left raising a child on her own.
Right.
And I definitely didn't want don't want that for my sons either, because and I like it. This is where, like I said, this is where the rubber meets the road for me, because again, my father taught me all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the knowledge, the discipline, the temperament, and all and everything. And for me, because of my choices, because of my decisions, because of the things that I did, the things that I said, and the choices that I made, I was not a father. I was not a father in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And all those things that I was taught by my father, I wasn't able to teach them.
Wow.
So for me, now there's this conflict with me inside of me, because my father taught me these things,
Mm-hmm.
and as a son, I'm supposed to pass down those things that my father taught me to my children,
Okay.
and and my children pass it down to their children, and vice versa, uh, all the way. And it's a generational thing, but
Right.
my thing is that it stopped with me.
Mm.
That part of it stopped with me,
Wow.
and that's my thing. My father taught me all this. I had it, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't instill it in my own kids, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the part of it that's one of the things that eats at me. It's
Okay.
this, but also the simple fact of just missing them physically.
Okay.
Not being able to see them in a physical manner, be able to physically touch, reach, talk,
Mm-hmm.
things of that manner, and to not be able to pass those things on that I was taught by my father. That's a hurtful thing. But I feel now that I'm a lot older and a hell of a lot wiser,
Yeah.
I do feel that there are some things that I've learned along this journey that I can pass down to them that could help them in their own journey. And but there's the difficulty in reach. The difficulty is the communication part. Even though I do reach out, it's not always a reciprocal response, and that's the thing with me. That's the reason why I wanted to talk about this tonight, y'all, because it is
Yeah.
it's more than just for me. It's more than just a emotional thing. It's also a mental thing for me, because of the simple fact of that.
Mm.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to put myself out there for the benefit of somebody. For the benefit of
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. I'm not. I used to be afraid of that, but I'm not afraid of that now. But I'm not afraid to put my life out there for the benefit of someone else. And
Mm-hmm.
it's my hope and my prayer that there's another gentleman or another brother that's out here going through that,
Yeah.
and they glean on this, they look at this and they glean on this, and they pick the lessons from it, and realize that you know
Yes.
your father taught you these amazing things. It was this amazing person to you, and you owe it to yourself to be a father to your child, to be a father to your child. And
Mm-hmm.
again, I'm not saying this to admonish anybody, because I'm not, because I've already admonished myself. I've already beat myself up about it. I still
Mm-hmm.
beat myself up about it. But there has to be some time to where we as we as men, especially black men, we have to realize that being an absentee father, we literally cripple our sons and our daughters,
Yeah.
because they don't know. They only know one side. They only know one aspect of them,
Mm-hmm.
which is the mom. They don't know that they have another aspect to them, which is their father. And a lot of our children out here are walking around, you know, incomplete and not whole,
Mm.
because they're because
Yes.
Mm.
because a father and a mother are two halves to a whole.
Yeah,
Ooh-wee,
yeah, they are.
brother.
Yeah, they are.
How can you walk around this planet? How can you walk around this earth and not be complete and not be whole and not know both aspects of you. There are some of us out here who have been blessed enough to have both aspects of themselves
Yes.
around them.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was fortunate enough to have both my mother and my father around. So I
Mhm.
know both aspects of who I am. So
Mm.
I know that I'm whole. I know that I'm whole. I'm not saying that you're not a whole person, but there are two parts of you that you're missing a part of you.
Right.
You know, you how can you walk around here not knowing that there's another part of you that you need that you need to understand and explore and understand.
Mm.
Two halves, the mother, father, two halves make one whole child. There's
Wow.
no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And the thing of it is that I don't know. It's for me. I feel you. I put it like this: brothers and sisters, brothers and fathers, you do yourself a disservice when you alienate you when you purposely alienate your child from the other part of you, the other part of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
cripple that child. You literally you put that child is automatically at a disadvantage
Yeah.
Mhm.
because
Absolutely.
they don't have because the, again, a mom can teach a child, a mother can teach a man, a young boy, how to be emotional and how to at least part way how to be emotional. A man can teach that boy how to handle his emotions with temperament,
Mm.
how to handle his emotions with discipline, but
Mm.
also not be afraid to express his emotions in a
Yes.
respectful manner to where it's advantageous for everybody.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
men
just
have to also be able to do that as well.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
one
yeah,
thing to be there in the presence of your children's lives. It's
Mhm.
another thing to be teaching them correctly or to be a
Mm.
positive presence because
yeah,
Good. That's good.
you got plenty of men out there who are in their children's lives, but they pretty much are absentee regardless.
yep.
Mm.
If you get what I'm saying,
I
Mm.
do.
you might as well be in Kentucky while they're in Boston because at the end of the day, the things that you've tried to teach, and again, like you were saying, LHG, it there are layers to that as well.
Mhm.
There are layers to it. You can be that father who's been like I was in my daughter's life from all the way up until she hit 17, 18. And then things got kind of turbulent and it's like reaching out is a difficult thing,
Yeah.
not so much difficult thing to do, but when you don't get, it's like what you were saying, Fred, with your son, you reach out but you don't get a response. That's where it ends up being with, say, me and my daughter right now. And it's like it's hard,
Mhm.
it's hard, but again, I was there, I mean, all the way up until like until graduation. And it's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? Because I've done my part. I mean, I've done what I
Yeah,
can, and that's father to daughter. But I mean, again, like it's a thing where the father, even if you're there, there has to be some type of positive energy that goes in. You
Absolutely.
can't just being there is not going to cut it. And a lot of times, if the man, if he doesn't know, that's a whole nother issue too. That's
Yeah.
another
Oh, yes. Another layer.
It's another
Yes.
layer. Sometimes
Yes.
them men don't know. Now that's the downfall to some of us who have had fathers that weren't there. That goes all the way back to that. You weren't there, so you don't know how to be what you're supposed to be. So then you can still be there, but you still don't know what you're supposed to be. Just because
Absolutely.
you're there does not mean you know how to do what you're supposed to do,
Right.
especially if you were not
exactly.
taught yourself.
That's right.
Nope.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean?
I want
Exactly.
to give, if you don't mind, Fred, give Simone a chance to have a few words before we start wrapping up. Simone, you were in the comments that you made reference to um, your own situation. Hearing this dialogue, what are your takeaways from this? How has this made you feel in terms of your own experience, if you're comfortable in sharing?
Well, first of all, hello everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for
Um,
joining us.
I just want to say I enjoyed this conversation. This conversation, as always, is very much needed. Um, as far as my experience goes, um, I like what he said. He said you can be there, but you're not really there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to take it to church, but it's like what we do to God when he said, they say with their mouths they love me, or whatever it says. I think it says they say with their mouth they love me, but their hearts are far from me.
Come on.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's something deep. When I thought
Yeah.
when I rehearsed what he said in my head, I was like, dang, we do that to God too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we
Like,
do.
is you there, but your mind is on the other side of town?
Right. What you know about that? Girl, you ain't but 12. What you know about that song? Your mind is girl. What you know about that?
No. But on a serious note, like when he said that, I was like, whoa, we do God the same way.
Yeah.
Like we say all these things and do all these things, but it's like we're not really we're not really into it.
Mm.
And I thought, and I sat in that moment as you guys were talking, I was like, oh my God.
Right.
And I
Right.
did like, I'm so serious. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we always say, as it is in the spiritual, it's in the natural.
Mm-hmm.
Because the same thing y'all was talking about, it's the same thing we do to God. Like, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
we tell him, we're going to do this, and that. But it's like, we don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I
And then,
heard TWade said, was it TWade? Did you say fathers destroy daughters? Who said that? Was it you, Fred?
I
Fred.
said
it
it.
was him, T
It was
Wade.
Fred.
So
Oh,
when
It was
Fred
you
said
Fred.
it.
It was
so
Fred.
when you said fathers destroy daughters, or was it mothers destroy sons?
Yeah,
Mothers
I said, brother,
destroyed sons.
destroy
So then
sons, but
I
father.
wrote down up under that fathers destroy daughters, and then I wrote down parents destroy children.
Thank you. 'Cause
Jesus.
There you go.
that's it right
There
there.
you go.
In
There you go.
essence, and it's not all purposefully done. The majority of it probably isn't purposefully done. But broken parents who had childhood trauma and things that have happened to them or that should have happened that didn't. There are some things that happened to you that shouldn't have, and there's some things that should have happened for us that didn't. So a lot of different layers to that too. That
Mm-hmm.
causes you to be who you are and
Mm-hmm.
causes you to parent the way you parent. But the more we have conversations like this in
Yep.
this forum and at home, I'm gonna forever be a fan of bringing back the dining room table when we
Yep.
put these devices down and we start to have the seemingly uncomfortable chats. It may be a little awkward at first, but we got to go back to when we didn't have the internet, when we didn't have all this other stuff, and we was playing Connect Four and Hungry Hippo.
I like that game.
Y'all know about that. Come on in
I
here.
like that game.
We can be
I
playing
like
board
that
games
game.
and Uno, and we're going to picnics and we're doing
Listen,
and we haven't really one-on-one time. We've been so disillusioned by social media and everything virtual
Right.
and meta, better, who, Greta's, whatever.
don't
But
bring up Uno because I will slap
but
y'all in Uno.
we need to go back to what it means to have fun together as a
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
family unit, family reunions, just
Right.
Sunday dinner. Come on now. The human connection, cousin. We have
Yep.
lost that. We've allowed social media to phase out human touch, human voice. Don't
Mm-hmm.
you text me when I'm 70 years old. Don't
You
do
better
it.
call. You better call.
Don't do it. I'm gonna roll up on your house. I see you text me. Open the door. I'm gonna roll up to your address. Text me here. Text me and see what happened. I'm gonna be on your door. We need to start talking. We need to start conversing and
Okay.
creating good memories. You agree, Sinette? Sinette,
I
can you
do.
hear me?
I sure do. We as and I say this disclaimer, I don't have any kids. My experience with kids is through working in the education field. So
Okay.
Don't attack parents. Please don't attack me when I make statements.
No attacks here.
Because, like earlier, my issue has never been with kids.
Mhm.
No, it's like, but my issue is not with kids when I made that statement about men and kids. My issue
Mhm.
is with a man choosing me over their kids. That's where
Okay.
the problem falls for me. As much as
Mhm.
I like being a brat, you never choose me over your kids. Because if you choose me over your kids and treat your kids dirty, you're going to treat me dirty. That's my point.
Okay.
I
I
can,
get you for that. I get you. And
Mhm.
even in that, there has to be when it
and
comes
like I
to
tell
children.
parents,
Mhm. Go ahead,
Go
Kutsinet.
ahead. Go ahead, Sonette. You
oh,
good?
um, because what I tell parents a lot of times working in education from daycare to adults, you so busy giving your kid the credit card, but you're not paying attention and listening to your kid. Kid is
Ooh.
walking around with $1,000 sneakers, but you out here looking like boo the fool. You
Come
go
on.
to
Ah,
work to put $1,000 sneakers on that kid. They dropping they stuff. Look, let me tell y'all what I used to see. The kids didn't care nothing about that iPhone. They
Oh,
go, I don't care. My mama just got me another one. They
yep.
drop it on the ground. That phone only 2 weeks old, and they getting another one.
Yes.
Who in the
Girl,
what green God good earth that mess?
girl, when I tell
And,
you,
and there's
Yes.
nothing wrong with making sure your daughter looks cute, but there's no
Right.
way your daughter should be in here dressing more than you.
Ooh. Come
Ain't
on
that you
now.
better get her some girl fashion cornrows and let her look cute and make that style last.
Mm-hmm.
She,
Yeah.
she
You're
better
right,
get a
Jeanette.
job. And
You're
she
right.
now if she got A's on if she an honor roll student, your kids honor roll, you go a little bit more. They honor roll, they come home house or whatever. You want to spell them, go ahead. But if they got D's and F's on their report card, ain't no way in the
See?
God green googly wiggly earth they need to be having that type of it's incentive.
I
oh
agree.
boy.
You talk about
Cause
real parenting.
I used to have to go to the
Mhm.
school would call me instead of the
Mhm.
parent.
Mhm.
The school didn't like talking to the parents because the parents would cuss the school out. So I would take the kids in the
Hey,
bathroom and I would not physically hurt them. But I said, let me tell you something right now, get it
Ooh.
together. I'm not your mama.
Right.
You need to get some A's. They used to get mad at me because I wouldn't let them do stuff. You got F's on your
Mhm.
report card. You ain't going on no trip. You can't
Wow.
go to no party. We used to have team parties. Parents would call me and say, Vanessa, you gonna be at that party? Why? Because you make sure my kids stay there. I'm on the
Mhm.
dance floor dancing with the kids doing like the karate kid trying to separate. You trying to get that girl
Lord have
pregnant?
mercy.
Come on now, get off
Mm.
her like that. She ain't your wife.
Wow. Wow.
That the
Man,
parents would
Lord.
never come there and be like interested about what's going on. Some
Mm.
parents would. Let's be clear.
Right.
But some they just drop their kids off and that's why I say to each parent be interactive with whoever's working with your
We're gonna get to
kid.
you, Simone. Hold on, honey. We're gonna get to you. I see you
Thing
down.
because I hate to
Hold on, Simone. We
she
coming.
over,
Go ahead,
she
Sinette.
over there busting at the
the negative
seams.
I
side is you
see.
have to be careful who your kids are around.
Mm.
Yep.
The negative you don't know that person, but the positive is that person could be a good influence on your kid.
Yes.
So it's a two-sided coin.
Yes.
All right, Simone, come on, cause I'll talk all day, Simone. Jump in.
girl, you were saying every listen,
Come
listen.
on, girl.
I don't have kids. Y'all know I don't have kids either. But listen, when I was working daycare, and literally everything she just said is the truth.com. Like these people, like the parents would literally drop them off, and you would basically have to be the parent. Like they don't know how to tie their shoes, they don't know how to zip up their jackets, but they
Yeah,
know. Whip me out the plastic. I've been asking brand new.
Lord.
Mhm.
that was just working and carrying on that 5 years old.
They
How
don't
does
know
a
their
5 year
name.
old know how to twerk?
Right.
Make it
I
make
was
sense.
watching this video. I was watching this video with this girl. She was talking about how she teaches ballet. I don't know if y'all seen it. It was going viral for a while. She was talking about how she teaches ballet to these 5-year-old girls, and they didn't know nothing. Like they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to. And then they was dancing to some music called I don't know what it's called, but it was like they know all these things, but they don't know their ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s. They don't know how to zip their jackets, tie their shoes.
Mhm.
I'm like, what? It's
Right.
like the parents are making us be the parents. We're here to teach them
Mhm.
more, way
Happens.
beyond what you teach them. Yes, but you're the parent. You gave birth to this child. So
Right.
why are you making us be the parents?
Right.
Mm.
Right. I think we're going to end up having a part 5,
Yep,
Fred
we are.
B. Um,
That's
I,
look.
I really, because what I want to get into next is the impact on a child's development when you talk
Yes.
about father
Mhm.
absenteeism or just parental absenteeism. I don't want it to always, it is about fathers and it's about brothers, but please know there's some deficits on the sister's side too. Just because a woman gives birth to a child doesn't make her a nurturer, doesn't make
No.
her a mother. It makes that her body was able to produce and help bring forth. That doesn't
Yeah.
automatically mean
Mm.
that she is equipped to nurture, cultivate,
Mhm.
and rear. It's
Mhm.
just biology, it's science.
Mhm.
It's just plain old, yeah, I keep it PG. But
Ah.
yeah, just plain old that, But
There you go.
I want to, when we come back, if it's okay with you, CEO, I want
Yeah.
to get into the psychological developmental impacts upon children when somebody that's not there, the impact on them developmentally, behaviorally, relationship wise, and what can we do? I want us to travel over to the now. Now what? Now what do
Yep.
we do in trying to make this right so many years later? Now how do we stand up
Mhm.
this and
Yep.
say, okay, I know you are 30 and I'm 50. I know that you are 21 and I'm 49. Because just because I am in my daughter's life and she lives with me doesn't mean I get it right every day. I'm still
Right.
learning how to be a mom, even though I am present every day of her life for the most part. I still miss the mark and I'm right here with her. So there's things that we can do as parents so that we don't destroy these babies. And even before becoming a parent, there's
Right.
decisions you can make to decide, is this person I'm about to cohabitate with, am I able to be a parent and are they able to be a parent? Because what
Yeah.
we're ready to intertwine and get entangled in could produce another life. While you're in your 7 seconds of fame,
Correct.
this could lead to another child person being produced and have
Yep.
Let
long-term implications.
Yep. Let's talk.
Fred,
Let's talk
you
about
got the
that.
floor, bro.
Let's talk about. Let's talk about that. So, Simone and Miss
You've
Sinette.
opened up a whole series, sir. A
Oh
whole
yeah.
series.
I know. I know. So, let's see. So, let's all agree that everybody does. Everybody, y'all want to join in this conversation because now we're talking about bridging the gap.
Yes.
Bridging
Portion
the
of
gap,
yes.
exactly what I'm talking about.
that,
Bridging
that was
the
Uh, yeah.
That's
I'm
it.
in.
cool. You know what, LSG? Ask Dr. Crystal if she wants to hop in on this too, because
I'm on
it's nice to have professional a professional opinion as
yes,
well.
yes.
So cool. So we gonna get up out here, man. But before we do that, first of all, I want to thank LSG. I want to thank TWade. I want to thank Simone. I want to thank Sinette for being here tonight, man. You guys,
Awesome conversation, brother.
there was an awesome conversation. And you guys brought a lot of value and insight to this conversation, which opened up the door for a lot more conversations to happen.
Yes.
Um, one of the things I'm going to say before we roll up out of here is that number one, it is the being a parent, whether it's mother or father, is an important aspect of a life as a human being. One of the other even overarching importance of that of being a parent is making sure that, and I said this earlier, making sure that our children are whole. And
My
y'all know
God.
what I mean by that.
Woo.
Mother, father, two halves to a whole.
Come on.
When our children are not whole, there are so many things that can happen, so many bad things that can happen, so many negative things that can happen, so many developmental things that can happen. I'm not a mental health professional or anything of that nature, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, my kids did not get the other aspect of who they were.
Mm.
And now they are half of who they are.
Wow.
And
My
as a father,
Ooh.
as a person who brought four kids into this earth, not giving those children the not even honoring them or even blessing them with the other aspect of themselves, that hurts.
Mm.
Gentlemen, I want you to be very cognizant of this. I said it earlier. Brothers destroy sons, fathers destroy children, fathers destroy daughters, but parents destroy children.
Ooh.
That's it.
Very We got to understand what that means. To have your kids are there, your kids are not whole until they know both aspects of themselves.
Yeah.
Brothers, let's 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 learn to do and be better,
Yes.
because there are generations of our kid, there are generations of our children out here who need us, who want to know us, who want to have relationships with us, who want to get to know who we are, despite what the other parent said, despite what the other parent says.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what the other parent says. It matters what the child says and what the child wants. If that child wants to have a relationship with their mother, with the child with their father, ladies, let their relationship develop.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Allow it to develop. Allow it to flourish. That's my 2 cents for tonight, man. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow for LSG with Girl Chat Weekly.
Good chat weekly.
Yep. She said that she gonna be at the house. Oh, she gonna be at the house on Tuesday. Um, one of the things that I want to say before we get out of here, um, I had the honor and pleasure of being on a podcast called My Comfy Couch with a young lady by the name of Nicole.
Okay.
But we did a show called What is Masculinity, and it
Mm.
was me and her. We had a great conversation. Now it's up on her YouTube page, My Comfy Couch. But I also uploaded the episode to our to our to our YouTube channel as well. So make sure you guys check that out.
Yeah.
Me and Mr. Cole had a great
Mm-hmm.
conversation and some very great insights and stuff. So make sure y'all check that out. Make sure you also follow us on YouTube, Instagram. Jesus, where are we? We everywhere.
We
YouTube,
are well.
Instagram, Facebook. Um, we're on audio streaming platforms, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. We're also on YouTube, Patreon page loading. We also have a website, www.trailblazersradio.com. Make sure you check that out. Check us out. I am going to be taking down the videos that are on the website currently and uploading some more recent ones. Um, some one of each one of us, one for LHG, one of Tony or Kai, and then a couple then one of Tony, one of Kai, and then one of me, and then we just gonna keep it rolling like that. But at this particular point, look, I just want us brothers to just understand the impact that we have, not only on our lives, but also the lives of our children, and also the lives of the women to whom we have these children with,
Mm-hmm.
as well
Mm-hmm.
as, you know, as the world, the greater world around us.
Yes.
I heard someone say this, and I'm gonna refute it as I said it before. Somebody said we need to make a new deal with our women. I say no to that, because
Mm.
why would we make a new deal with our women when the old deal is still in place?
All right.
When the old covenant that God had for us is still in place, why we need to make a new covenant?
Mm.
We just gotta bridge the gap and close. We just gotta close the gap. But y'all know how I feel about that. But that's for a whole nother conversation. But we gonna end this one on a good note, a good and happy and positive note. Brothers, be fathers to your children. Mothers, do not don't be that doorstop
Mm.
for that child
Woo.
to have a relationship with your child, for the child to have a relationship with their father.
My God.
If you're the doorstop, that means you're the problem.
My God.
Fathers, if you are absent in your child's life, then you're the problem.
Mhm.
Yes, brothers, I said it. If you're absent in your kid's life, then you're the problem. Don't be the problem. Don't be the problem. Like the old song by NOG and the Bulldogs. Be a father to your child.
Who and the
Be
who? What year is that?
NOG and the
That's no
Bulldogs.
chickens and the frogs.
No, NOG and the Bulldogs. It's a video
Lord,
called "Be a Father to Your Child."
you older than me. You got to be older than me.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, T-Wade.
I don't either.
And the
And
frog.
I think I'm older than him.
You know,
NOG
I
and the
got y'all.
Bulldogs.
I got y'all. I got
Nobody's
y'all.
bulldogs.
No, I got y'all. Trust me, I got y'all. I got y'all. Right?
I'm
You know
older
the
got
than
y'all
all
right
of
here.
y'all.
Yeah, I got y'all. Matter of fact, LSG.
I'm only 26. Of course, I wouldn't know that.
No, you
Well,
wouldn't.
we know
I don't
you
know.
don't know nothing like that. But T and LSG, I'm going to drop. I'm gonna drop the video on y'all in our chat so you can see what I'm
Yeah.
talking
Do
about.
that.
Because there is a
Yeah,
song
I
called that.
I'm
There is
interested.
a song. There is a song called
It's
that.
like
Trust
Dukes and Hazzard and the Boss Hogs.
me. NOG and the Bulldogs. Jesus
Okay.
Christ, man.
LHG. LHG.
I just, I
What
just
is wrong with
That
you?
was a show back in the day.
we show what. Sinette, don't play with Dukes and Hazzard now.
Oh, you know what? I
Ooh,
can't with
Dukes
y'all, man. I
Hazzard.
can't.
That's way.
Woo.
Nah,
You know
I
what?
used to love them
On
boys.
that note, we getting up out of here, man. Look, we love y'all. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We finna get up out of here because this is about to get out of hand
Out
and
of hand. Out of
this about to
control.
get completely out of control. And I ain't gonna be able to contain them for no further. I ain't gonna be able to contain them any much longer.
Smart man.
I ain't gonna be able to contain these ladies any longer. So no, we're not gonna do that, man. We love y'all. Make sure you check in. Make sure you check in with LSG
Well,
on
that
Girl
was
Chat
the
Weekly
dream.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And look here,
Yeah.
we out. I'm not gonna get. I can't mess with y'all. To contain y'all would be a bad thing.
Share this video.
Huh?
Please.
Share this right here. This right here.
Please do.
Please.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you. And make sure I want y'all. I just dropped that YouTube video in our chat. So please, there's an actual song, y'all. But
Wow.
we out of here. We love y'all. Peace.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Have a good night.